Hello, my name is Jason and welcome back to I Have a Story. Part of this channel is really I'm desperate and I need help, but I'm also here, and my original ideas with this channel prior to the situation that I'm in now was to share the knowledge I have and the things I've seen in my life and being able to put them together and share them with you. This video, I want to talk about the algae bloom in Lake Erie. You don't have to be a scientist and have special equipment to figure out a lot of things that happen around us in this world. And our country seems to have turned into a bunch of adult children who just indulge in entertainment and don't pay attention to what's going on around them and don't think about it because their brain's too busy thinking about having fun. Unfortunately, I don't know how to have fun. I think too much and pay attention too much, and that's what my children did for me. In huge part was it forced me to have fun. In part in my life, and especially in my generation, I don't know about today, but the way I still want to raise my kids, my generation as a man, I was built and taught, and it's in my genes to build a career, a house, a family. At almost 50 years old, I've done that over and over, and it just keeps getting taken away from me by bad people. And then the bad people get away with it, and I'm not taking it anymore. It's part of this channel. I'm not taking it anymore. This is an outlet I haven't had in the past, and now I do, so I'm trying to do everything I can. Follow along with the rest of my channel and my stories there, and will still continue to be coming out. But here's with the algae bloom in Lake Erie. I lived off the shorelines of Lake Erie for over 40 years. As a child, and throughout those decades of that time, the only time we ever had water advisories, boil advisories, and things like that were when there was water main breaks or some sort of contamination that was taking place inside our grounds, not in the lake. There's always been an algae bloom, and the reason for that, I mean, there's been algae in the lake, and there's lots of reasons for that, but a major part of it still leads to exactly what I'm here to talk about today. So when did the algae bloom in Lake Erie really become a problem and a threat and a danger and a hazard? Well, something took place. When was that? Early 2000s? I want to say it was the early 2000s. We had the largest electrical blackout in our nation's history. I believe it was dubbed the East Coast Power Outage, and we were without electricity for weeks. During that process, obviously, a lot of things took place, and things I'm not even aware of, but here's one that I am. During that time, all of the water sanitation plants were inoperable, and they are all built on water, or sit on some sort of water tributary of some sort, so that when they shut down and cannot operate, they have an overflow that they dump into. Toledo, Ohio, it's on the Maumee River. During that time when those shut down, millions of gallons, it was declared that millions of gallons of raw sewage was dumped into Lake Erie. They shut down the shorelines of Lake Erie and me living in Toledo in the middle, this is just what I know of, from Detroit all the way to Pennsylvania, they shut down the shorelines of Lake Erie. It wasn't safe to be in the water, it wasn't safe to fish, eat, any of the aquatic life, any of it, because millions of gallons of raw sewage were dumped into the lake. And then it was a few years after that took place that the algae bloom really became a threat and a danger and a hazard and publicized. Now, if you take, I know most people don't want to do this, but if you were to take and go get a cup of raw sewage from somewhere, say a septic tank or a sewer, somewhere you can get raw sewage and put it into a cup, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so I have to throw in an edit here. It's part of me making this channel, and what I'm trying to work at being a better person into myself is my brain thinks faster than I can speak. Sometimes that's why I talk fast, because my brain it thinks fast. So what I want to edit in here, and with what I said, was with the cup of raw sewage, this will be what it looks like if you put it out in sunlight and let it sit for a period of time. It turns into algae. This is what it looks like. It looks just like what's in Lake Erie, because I believe that's what it is in Lake Erie. So I want to put in an edit here that not just take a cup of raw sewage and this is what the raw sewage looks like. If you take that cup of raw sewage and put it outside in the sunlight and let the sunlight affect it just like it does plant life, this is what the cup will look like after that period of time. And then now you take millions of gallons, take that cup and go pour it in a swimming pool without any chlorine, just have water there, just pure water, and dump that in a pool and leave it for a summer and see what it looks like. It's going to look like Lake Erie. So to me, and I mean, I really truly believe in this theory, but it is obviously a theory that algae bloom was caused by our sewage. Now, part of the reason there's always been an algae bloom or algae in the lake, I shouldn't say a bloom. If they want to call it a bloom, I don't know what that becomes a precedence over. This is so big we call it a bloom now. But the algae was always been in the lake because the sanitation plants were never operating correctly to begin with. Now, when I went to college in Monroe, this would have been back in 2017, I don't know, 2007, 2006. My college professor, he ended up being one of the engineers for the sanitation plants. And being a knowledgeable guy, him and I sat down and started talking. I asked a lot of questions. I'm a very curious person. I want to know how everything in this world works. Part of why I've gained so much knowledge, because I ask questions. I go behind scenes. People have taught me and taken me behind scenes, and I've seen so much in so many industries, and I'm here to share those stories with you. Part of why this is called I Have a Story, because I have many of them. So he told me, if you can smell a sanitation plant, then that means that it's not operating and functioning correctly. I said, well, what if you can smell it from hundreds of yards away? He goes, then it's running really bad. I said, okay, well, when you drive over 75 and go past the Monroe sanitation plant, you can smell it from the expressway going past it like you're sitting in a outhouse. I said, yep, that's not good. So something else I've done and this was over 20 years ago that I did this. What it looks like now, I do not know. It's been a long time since I've done this, but I took a boat up to the waste management plant. I've done this a few times over my lifetime, taking a boat up to the waste management plant on the Maumee River. And if you pull up to the outlet of that, it was absolutely horrid. It was pure black, what looked like little shards of toilet paper flowing out of it. Nasty. I mean, it smelled like you were in an outhouse, smelled like raw sewage. You just gagged. It was disgusting, and that's flowing right into the river. Now, one thing that's really scary about that is now the river flows out to Lake Erie, and what's just outside the mouth, on the mouth of the river in Lake Erie, your water intake that's sucking water into from the lake and feeding it to your plumbing in your pipes in your house. With that raw sewage going right through it. The whole entire cycle is crazy. Now, they want to spend all this money, millions and millions of dollars, to investigate what the problem is and research and try to figure out the problem. If you spent that money to take care of the problems that we already know exist, like the waste management plants not operating and functioning correctly because they don't have the funding and money to do it, if we put the money into fixing at least those problems, maybe we'd see a difference. God, I mean, this drives me nuts. It's part of why I hate watching the news and watching and researching this stuff. Like, these are the professional people wasting trillions of our dollars and millions and trillions and billions and gazillions of our dollars and still not making any progress. Insanity. That, to me, I just see, look, this isn't hard to figure out. But they don't want to fix the problem. I guess I don't know. I mean, how... And they even talk, I've even read articles over years about how the cities talk about we don't have the funding to fix this equipment, update our equipment, make it function correctly. Now, there are cities that have put in purification systems that treat, supposedly, Cedar Point it's right out by Cedar Point. The name of the city. Right off of Cedar Point, right outside of Cedar Point, there's a city that claims that they put in a water filtration system that does effectively purify the water against the algae bloom. Toledo claimed that they don't have the money and can't afford it. Well, why did we spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars over years and years researching the problem when we know there's a problem right there that exists? Why? And would health be a health benefit all the way around to our environment, to the people, everything? But instead we waste the money that could have fixed at least a problem that we're aware of and just flush that right down the toilet too, right? I with my vision problems, I don't write things down, and I think in my head, and then when I get emotions going and I get in stage fright, I kind of lose track of my thought. So I'm going to take a break right now just for a minute, and I'll be back and collect my thoughts again and then figure out right where I was at and if there was anything else I wanted to add to this. Okay, I'm back. I do remember what I had to add to that. So we want to attack the farmers for this, and this is one of the things that is upsetting me, is that the governor for Ohio came out and made a public statement. We're going to go after the farmers, and he publicly stated this. This was his words. We're going to go after the farmers because it is the cheapest and easiest way to attack the problem. You're not even putting a band-aid on the problem. I understand fertilizer makes plant life grow. Algae is an aquatic plant life. Doesn't matter how it's formed or where it comes from. It's green and we call it a plant life. So we're not spending our money in the right places by any means. And they're publicly stating that we're going to take the easiest way out and just say we're doing something. Did it make a difference? We don't know. We still have problems, and they can claim, there's only this much this year, that year, but that's where you need the equipment to actually test. All I know is it's still a problem. And it's toxic, and it's killing the fish and the life that's in the lake and creating problems. So, why do we take the easiest way out when it comes to our people and our health and our environment? That doesn't make sense to me, especially when we have the money to just throw at so many frivolous things in this country. I mean, we got Biden out saying America is the biggest country in the world. We have money just to throw away, but yet we don't have the money to fix the problems. Here's another one I'll share with you. God, everything in my life is so painful. I have a cousin and an uncle that I have not talked to in years. They're wonderful people, and I plan on talking about them more in the future on this channel. And they're not really my blood uncle and cousin, but my dad is such a jerk that my family disowned us, and we didn't have any family, so it was kind of like my adopted family that we spent holidays and stuff with, and I'll go more into detail with that later. Anyway, my uncle and my cousin both work for the water department in Toledo. Now, it's been several years since I've talked to them, and as of 3 years ago, it was still like this, that the water department does not have the money to upgrade, or again, at that time, upgrade their system, and everything was still done manually. And as city workers, you get such high pay and high benefits and such a lazy, worthless job that you still can't work weekends. So nobody worked weekends, and this has gone on for the history of the water department that I'm aware of up until at least 3 years ago. So nothing was done, nothing was automated. They don't have machines putting in chemicals and doing all that. So on Friday, they double dosed the water and put double the chemicals in it. And I don't know the exact quantities, but I know you walk into any house on a Friday or Saturday night, or Friday night, Saturday day, that anybody can open a tap water, and me having having well water for so long, because I will not have city water, I can sit in a living room and smell it from a kitchen. Smell the chlorine and the chemicals and go, oh my God, you guys use that for anything. I wouldn't even bathe in it. And here's one that catches, somebody's told me this. This is one I saw in a video and made me open my eyes. What is your body's largest organ? I thought about it for a minute. Your intestine. That thing's like a mile long, isn't it? No, it's your skin. Your skin absorbs everything it touches. It absorbs the sun, gets your vitamin C. I mean, this isn't rocket science again. Again, you do not need scientific equipment to figure this out. We've already been taught it. You just have to use that with everything else in your life that that's I really, this world has become such a place of disillusion. It blows my mind. And I care so much because I care about people, but I care about the future of my kids and what they're being taught, and that's where it really hurts me. Your skin absorbs everything it touches, and your body digests that. So you bathe in that water. You put your kids in a bathtub and let them just soak in it. That water, the chemicals are just soaking into them kids. What does that cause? We really don't know, because again, you keep watching my channel. I will keep telling you about how I know that these medical professionals do not know what this causes. They can't even detect what it causes because they don't know what to look for. But the city of Toledo didn't have the money to update their system, their equipment, and do properly. And we can overpay employees to sit on their butt, but we can't take care of the people again. Millions and millions and trillions and gazillions of dollars in this country just get thrown out the window. Again, Biden even comes out and says it publicly. We have the money to throw out the window, but we don't have the money to fix the problems. I feel like I can't even believe this is my country, and I'm honestly becoming like embarrassed to call myself an American. This is just insanity is what I see around me. Answers are really very simple, but we've become such simple-minded people, and we don't want to look at it even. We just want to be entertained. So why are we spending all our money in places that it's not making any difference and not doing any good when we easily have problems that we can see right in front of our nose and not putting our money there? I ask for anybody who lives in the Toledo area who has a boater, go up to the mouth of that outtake of the waste management plant. Again, over 20 years ago, we didn't have cell phones and technology like we did now to document and record this stuff. Somebody please go up there and look and show a video of what it looks like today. Is it still just black, raw sewage looking nasty, funky, ugh, smelling horrible, raw? It looks like toilet paper flowing out of it. Junk? Now, that's only one city across the entire shoreline of Lake Erie. Imagine Detroit, Cleveland. And these are some big cities with a lot of people and a lot of waste being dumped into the lake. And if that isn't bad enough, it's one of the things, I love education. I have my ham radio license, and there's many reasons why. And in part that I found out later on, having my license, is the education I have learned talking to and listening to the very educated people who are all over the world on that radio. One night I got to sit and listen to the two engineers, one of them who had designed Fermi, the Detroit power plant, and the other one designed Bessie and the Monroe power plant. These are Monroe and Detroit and Toledo are both Toledo. It's outside of Toledo, but Davis Bessie, they're both nuclear power plants, and talking about how nuclear water's been flushed into the lakes and stuff over the years, and listening to the stories really opened my eyes and scared me even more. Not necessarily scared me. It doesn't scare me because it upsets me, because I want to be able to use those natural resources that we have. I don't want to see people being harmed and poisoned and toxified. But honestly, it doesn't scare me because I educated myself on these topics, did the research, listened to the people, looked for myself, and made the educated decisions to not put myself in a situation to be open to the problems that causes in my life. I avoid it and I stay away from it. I used to be one of the hugest, biggest fishermen in Lake Erie. Me and my group of people who were fishermen, we used to have professional charters find our boats and follow us because we knew where the fish was at. Again, I logged it. God, some of the people that I worked with doing that, we did it as a job, and we did it for fun. We didn't get paid to do it. We did it for fun. One of which was the health director for the city of Toledo, Songpang Bangtana. Most people don't even know that's his real name. They call him Bob. A really good guy. He's a wonderful guy. Spent a lot of time bowling and fishing with that man. And we documented barometric pressures, wind directions, and all sorts of different things. And we became the top fishermen. Quit fishing Lake Erie because it disgusted me. One of the shorelines right off of Monroe Power Plant used to be a beautiful spot, and there used to be a campground there. And then started taking my kids there, and there are trees down all over the beach. It was like a giant playground for children. My kids loved going there and climbing the trees that are laying all over the beach, and not all over the beach, but there's full trees laying on the ground they could climb up. Great big spider webs of root balls that they could just climb on, and it was wonderful for kids. One day we went out there to have a picnic, and I could smell it walking 100 yards from the beach. I could smell it. Oh, what is that? And I could hear noise. Like, what is that noise? It's like a buzzing. Is there some electrical source out here buzzing from the power plant? No, I got out there, and the shoreline was completely. You had to tiptoe across the beach for as far as you could see to not step on a dead fish. Shoreline completely covered. It was so disgusting. The buzzing was all the flies and insects that we were hearing walking up to it. Turned around and walked right back out and never went back since. Why can't we take care of the actual problems? Why are we spending so much money that could have fixed these problems and just claiming we're going to research? How are we going to spend all this money just so frivolously and not take care of the problem that is so obviously right in front of our nose? So I do ask anybody in the Toledo area, go up the Maumee River to where that waste management plant is and document and film what's coming out of it now. I want to see, does it still look like it did when I saw it 20 years ago? Well, we'll just take away the fertilizer and quit feeding it, because maybe that'll do something, right? Because maybe then we'll say we did something. And did that actually help? No, it's actually hurting our farming industry even more, creating another problem. I mean, geez, these people just create problem after problem after problem when the answer to fixing them is pretty stinking simple. Oh my God. Drives me nuts, and I'm a nobody with nothing in my bank account, a life that's about in the toilet. But yet can figure this stuff out. So I have no doubt this is the cause of the algae bloom in Lake Erie. This is where it's coming from. This is the major feed of it. And why it became so big when it did. Again, the East Coast power outage, millions of gallons of raw sewage were dumped into Lake Erie, and that I know of, from Detroit all the way to Pennsylvania. They shut down the shorelines. I have no doubt that that's what caused the major bloom of Lake Erie. My question is, why can't we do something to fix the problem? Why can't we put the money where it needs to go instead of flushing it down the toilet?